Good morning, world. I hope you are okay wherever you are. I sincerely do. So, last week we had a report about hundreds of drones flying over NATO territory, attacking Viborg and another port in the Baltic from the Russians, and these gas and oil depots. No follow-up, no complaints from NATO, nothing in the news about strong words against the Ukraine using NATO airspace. That tells me everything, that it was indeed agreed upon by NATO that the Ukraine could do this. So that's a further escalation. Like I said in a previous video, that means that the Russians can shoot at those drones above NATO territory. They can. But somehow they don't. And I hear you NAVO fellas out there cheering for the Ukraine, thinking, haha, they don't dare, because then we NAVO fellas will invoke Article 5, right? Woof, 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 with your little NATO chihuahuas in the Baltics, eh? Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. Woof, 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 woof. Fuck you, come over, I fuck you up. These little chihuahuas playing Russian roulette. And now, in this video from the military summary channel, there we have again a report how again these ports were struck. And let me start where it is going. And according to the attacks, it went all along the line. But I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I think they are striking from Latvia, Estonia or Lithuania into that northern part of Russia. I think that's the case. And it's extraordinary that there are no follow-up reports about this. What's going on here? Let's listen to this part of the report, if it wants to play.
Used 280 drones to attack deep inside of the territory of Russia, and as you can see, once again, according to this map, the Ukrainians once again attacked in the northern direction. I would like to remind you that during the previous days, the Ukrainians, when attacking in the same direction, managed to deal significant damage to objects of energy infrastructure of the Russian Federation in the Leningrad region. The Ukrainians attacked the settlement of Ust-Luga, more precisely its ports infrastructure, and according to information we have, during the previous night, the Ukrainians once again attacked the same territory. And in these pictures and in these videos, we can see the consequences of the recent attack of the previous night's attack. So it seems that the Ukrainians once again managed to break through the Russian air defense forces and to damage the Ust-Luga oil refineries and oil infrastructure.
So, would it stand to reason that they use the same line of attack instead of going all the way over 5 oblasts and attacking that region? Like last week, this report was that it showed in the report how the Ukrainians were using NATO airspace to do this. I think it stands to reason that they did it again in the same way. After all, there was no Russian retaliation above NATO airspace, right? So let's do it again. We were successful, especially because They also, you will see in this report, they also hit a... Oh, shut up with your fucking YouTube ads. They also hit a chemical plant way north of Moscow. You know, like behind Moscow. So I don't buy it that they were able to pass, what? In that case of the chemical plant, 6, 7 oblasts without the Russians being capable of taking those drones down. I know the Ukraine would love to present it like, oh, we become so successful, or oh, the Russians are already faltering, you know, which I don't buy. I don't buy it at all. I am sure that they use as a the location to launch these attacks are the Baltic states. I am sure about that. And I think that the Russians deliberately are not telling us about this because they are actually now preparing, like we also saw in the news. It was predicted. Russia will strike the Baltic states. It was like, what? 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, a report about that. That our so-called intelligence services found out that the Russians had this plan. Well, it's like predictive programming, right? I plan an attack from those countries, so from Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, and then I'm gonna predict that the Russians are gonna hit back after they find out that I am doing this. It's that bloody simple. And then, when the Russians are doing it, then of course I will omit the fact that I started to attack from these countries and just cry bloody murder. Right, Mark Rutte? NATO? NAVO fellas? Huh? Oh my god. How dumb, stupid people are to basically believe anything coming from that bloody shit out of NATO's mouth. You know? How dumb can they be to believe all that stupid shit? It's really amazing. It's really amazing. But let's get back to this video and see what is actually going on over there. You know? Come on, fuck off. Opa.
As you can see, according to these pictures, this object of energy infrastructure was damaged significantly. It seems that more than 50% of these reservoirs were completely destroyed, and we don't know for sure whether the rest were just damaged or also were completely destroyed. Furthermore, we received a report that the Ukrainians also attacked the settlement of Primorsk, so these two, let's say,
I don't buy it.
Areas of the Russian Federation were attacked by the Ukrainians overnight. Furthermore, according to information we have, another batch of drones moved in the northeastern direction, and pro-Ukrainian and pro-Russian sources confirm that the Ukrainians overnight attacked the city of Cherepavets. And as for this settlement, the Ukrainians, according to information we have, attacked the Cherepavets chemical plant, also one of the most important and biggest plants on the territory of the Russian Federation. In these videos, we can see the consequences of attack probably first seconds after drones attack these territories. It seems that the Russians have problems.
It seems that the Russians have problems. Well, let's look at the map. So, most of the time, from this region, where my little cursor is, I don't know if you can see it, from about this region around Sumy, they start to attack into Russia. So they would have crossed what? How many oblasts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until they reach the Baltic, and then they flew all the way around Moscow and those regions to attack there. The chemical plant, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think, like the last time to that report last week about the hundreds of drones and one got struck. No, it struck a building in Latvia. That's why we found out it were Ukrainian drones. There were many reports about that. Hundreds of drones flying over NATO territory. I think that in fact they are launched from NATO territory. That stands more to reason. And yes, it might take the Russians by surprise. Like, what the fuck? Are they actually these little chihuahuas in the Baltic states playing Russian roulette now with us? Could that be the case? Could it be that that's the, the surprise to the Russians? Like, how do they dare to do this, and how shall we respond? Because that's actually what I think is going on. I think that the Russians right now are thinking how to counter the threat from that part of the front line with NATO, not with the Ukraine. The Ukraine is nothing more than a useful idiot, a proxy in the war between NATO and Russia. And yes, in my opinion, the Russians should just end this bloody war by striking so hard, preemptively, on NATO targets like, Ramstein bases, bases in Romania, wherever the support is coming from to the proxy, the Ukraine. I mean this. I think they are entitled to do this. There is a new set of rules internationally, right? Preemptive, taking out leaders and stuff. Well, I totally agree now. Let's take out Mark Rutte. Let's take out NATO leadership. Let's take out infrastructure of NATO. Wherever they can hit it. That's what the Russians should do. And they should strike so hard on Kiev, like flattening half of it. Like half of it, just boom, with a nuke. And then make the same argument like the Americans made in the Second World War. This is to save human lives. To end it as fast as possible. In my opinion, they should have done that right there and then, at the start, that very first few weeks, when they were actually already at Kiev with troops. Remember those 45,000 Russian troops and how the Russians retreated because they were scared? No, they were not scared. They retreated, those troops, because negotiations were going on. And that little green shit Zelensky was hiding somewhere. Even let an Israeli speak on his behalf. Please, Mr. Putin, don't kill me. And Mr. Putin's response was, oh, tell him, don't worry, we are not targeting you. But they should have. They should have. It's all in hindsight, right? No. They can still do it, and they should do it. End this miserable war, Mr. Putin. Just nuke the shit out of Kiev. Flatten it. And I bet you that NATO will be going like that. And yes, you should make the statement, hey, Mark Rutte, wherever the fuck you are hiding with your warmongering garbage, you will be on that kill list You can't say this. That's rude. That's even illegal, right? Well, NATO, America, we have kill list. Mirot Vorets in the Ukraine is a kill list. Then why shouldn't have the Russians a kill list and announce it? Like announce it. Hey, I can already see Medvedev, by the way, announcing this. Because if it is Medvedev who will call the shots eventually, you can bet your ass, Mark Rutte, you will be on that fucking kill list. And he would press a button for a super hypersonic Oreshnik, whatever, and wherever you are hiding, you would be gone, Mark Rutte. And it would be righteous and justified. It would be. This world is going to shit. Why? I will tell you why. Because you out there in NATO countries, you keep accepting that they use your money to wage these wars and to keep this washing machine going. There was a report this morning from Alex Christoforou about how, what was it, 50 billion, I believe, of money now will go to the war against Iran that you, European NATO member, paid for the Ukraine to then be transferred to the USA, right, to deliver shit to the Ukraine. And now that money is going to the war in Iran. It's amazing how this works. And you don't hear anything anymore about the Epstein files. It's all a big distraction. And unfortunately, innocent people are dying to keep those pedophile Zionist elites safe. Well, I'm not like 90% of you out there who after 2 minutes on your fucking shorts, TikTok scroll and FB and YouTube scrolls forget about everything. I will remember, and I will keep asking questions. Who is on that fucking list? Especially of Europe. Who is on that bloody fucking list in Europe? Because we love to know. We love to find out who's on that list so we can put them on another list. You know, a kill list. Because those people don't have human rights. To have human rights, you have to be a human. And they aren't. They have nothing human left in them. Well, those type of people, you need to meet eye to eye on their own level. On their own level. Because you can only combat that kind of evil with evil. That's the only language they recognize. And in regards to this whole fucking bullshit with Zelensky flying around everywhere now to the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, talking about how they will send Ukrainian support and specialists, they should be just shooting that, I don't know, Ukraine Air Force number 1 or however it is called. They just shoot it out of the air, wherever it's going. Wherever it is going. The same for all those leaders. If they step on an airplane, it should be targeted and just blown out of the sky wherever it is flying. Likewise, maritime law, piracy, right? I used to be a sailor. And if you are a pirate, and we behave like pirates, then you are a legitimate target to be destroyed wherever on the high seas. And I think the Russians, they should do this. They should actually do a tit for tat. A tit for tat. The energy market is already for the West going, to hell in a basket. We keep destroying important infrastructure that is actually hurting us in Europe. And we just accept it. If you cannot see how the Nord Stream 2 deliberate terrorist attack against Germany and all of Europe, was done in advance for all this fucking bullshit, then you are like really blind and deaf. Then you are really blind and deaf. And again, it's your fault out there not rising up, revolting, standing up against your so-called leaders in the NATO countries, that you are in this fucking bullshit. The Russians even stated it. As long as the people in the West do not rise up against their leaders, what can they do to liberate you? Because that's actually what Russia wants, that you liberate yourself from this madness. For years now I say, give me that kind of support, Russia, China, BRICS countries, give me that kind of support, weapons, training, whatever. The way we in NATO do this covertly in other countries for regime change. And yes, I will gladly be a volunteer to overthrow all those so-called leaders in NATO. You heard me right, and I have no problem saying it out loud. That's my fucking opinion about this bullshit, that this is needed, that we should rise up and revolt. Does that have to be then, violently? Well, that depends on the reaction of the system, right? If you go on the street and you demand that they step down, determined demand to step down, and they, the system, those fucking pedophile elites, respond with violence, then yes, you have the God-given right to defend yourself from that violence and then violently remove them, regardless what they made law that you can say or say not. Regardless. If you cannot see how they write laws to protect themselves from you rising up, and then you, dumb fucking sheep out there, respecting their laws in which they stated you cannot rise up against them. It's like amazing. I write the rule book of the game. Rule number 1, I am always right. Rule number 2, in case I am not right and you don't agree with me, look at rule number 1. And then rule number 3, if you then refuse to play along with these 2 rules, then rule number 3 is I will come and punish you, be it in prison or kill you. Those are the names of the rule of the game that they present to you. And you accept. That makes you what? That makes you what? A slave? A subjugated, I don't know what. If you accept that, you are not safeguarding the future of yourself and your children. You are not. You are just a meek sheep, ready for the slaughter. Just like those Zionists say, you're goyim, nothing more than cattle that can be slaughtered at will. And you behave like that because you don't rise up and you don't revolt against it. Even cows, when they go to the slaughterhouse, show emotion. Believe it or not, they show emotion. They are terrified because they know what's coming. But they, unlike you, do not have the power to rise up against the butchers, the cattle herders who drive them into the slaughterhouse. They don't have this capacity to fight back, but they would, if they could. They would. What about you out there? When will you rise up and revolt against your own slaughter? Because that's actually what's going on. Well, what can I say? I keep saying it over and over again like a broken record. I know. But maybe it's because I'm always optimistic. I'm always optimistic. That's what a sovereign person does. He will never, she will never give up being optimistic, in being sovereign, thinking for yourself, and standing your ground, at least in your opinion. Because if you do that self-censorship, like all those fucking sheep, including the alternative medias, with big followers, big group of followers, even those do self-censorship, because everyone who uses its brain knows that we need to rise up and revolt against our governments in the West to stop it. Otherwise, it will not stop. Everyone knows this, but no one is saying it out loud. Why? Look back at those rules of the game. Rule 1, 2 and 3. Well, keep accepting it and you will find out at one point, like that cattle in that pen that is forced from a group to 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 until they reach the butcher, that you at some point will be just like that cattle, ready to meet the butcher. You will be. Have a nice day. I hope you are okay. I sincerely mean this. I hope you are okay wherever you are, regardless if you are a meek sheep. But remember, like I keep saying, my videos, they are not meant for you, for the sheep. My videos are meant for those shepherd dogs who will protect the flock, who are prepared, willing to stand up for the flock. Let's hope that some of those shepherd dogs hear the call. Let's hope, because it's very much needed.